10 Fascinating Historical Sites in Turkey. But first, thanks guys for keeping up with the great comments. Today we'll be presenting to you just some of the most fascinating historical sites in Turkey. Let us know in the comment section which one you think is the most interesting, and maybe we'll feature you in an upcoming video. Number 10. Gobekli Tepe. Turkey is a country that straddles both the continent of Europe and Asia. It's located on the important crossing grounds between Europe and the Middle East and Africa. It's home to many important, amazing sites that are necessary for understanding the history of mankind and some of the earliest advanced civilizations. This photo we see here is believed to be the world's first temple, known as Gobekli Tepe, and it's Turkey's oldest known historical site, which was built in 9500 BC. It's found southeast of the city of Urfa, just north of the border with Syria. In the archaeological dig site, you'll see standing stones and pillars, which are arranged in circles. This is quite an impressive feat of engineering by people who were primarily hunters and gatherers, predating any known civilization by thousands of years. The area where the temple was found was considered sacred for the large amount of wildlife and game found here by the tribes. Number 9. Hattusa. This historical site in Turkey used to be the former capital of the Hittite Empire, which was one of ancient Egypt's archenemies. They occupied much of Turkey, parts of modern-day Israel, Lebanon, and Syria. This late Bronze Age city is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and it was discovered in the early 1900s. The Hittite Empire slowly disintegrated, most likely from drought in the area and even possibly earthquakes. The city was completely abandoned around 1200 BC, but the Great Sphinx Gate, which was one of the main entrances to the city, still remains. The stone walls that fortify the ancient capital were reconstructed in a similar style architecture that historians believe would be used by the civilization. Some amazing pieces of art are still here, like this photo of 12 Hittite gods of the underworld, but much of this place is still in ruins. Number 8. The City of Troy. You might be familiar with the legends of the Trojan horse mentioned in Homer's Iliad, and even the film with Brad Pitt titled Troy. However, this city truly does exist and is located in northwestern Turkey. Some of the remains of this legendary setting are still intact, such as portions of the walls. However, due to its strategic location, it's also been urbanized by other civilizations such as the Romans. This remarkable city was found in 3500 BC and abandoned in 500 AD. In Greek mythology, a woman named Helen of Troy lived here, who is rumored to be the most beautiful woman in the world. The war broke out when Helen, who was married to the king of Sparta, was abducted by the prince of Troy named Paris. After a long 10-year siege of the city of Troy, the Greek army came up with a plot to get inside the walls by constructing a large wooden horse as a peace offering. Little did the Trojans know that inside the horse were Greek soldiers, so be careful of Greeks offering gifts. Number 7. Ephesus. Located in the Izmir province of Turkey, the city of Ephesus lies on the edge of the modern-day town of Selçuk. This is the location of where one of the 7 ancient wonders of the world, known as the Temple of Artemis, once stood. This was originally built by King Croesus of Lydia and was reconstructed 3 times before its final destruction. It was burnt down in the 4th century BC as an act of arson. Despite the loss of one of the biggest temples in the ancient world, the city of Ephesus continued to thrive under Roman rule while it profited from the slave trade. The Library of Celsus is an ancient Roman building here and was considered to be one of the Roman Empire's most impressive buildings. Considered to be the ancient world's 3rd largest library, some believe it was destroyed by an earthquake or even from a Goth invasion during the 3rd century AD. Number 6. Mount Nemrut. After the Empire of Alexander the Great broke up, a new kingdom of Comagene was formed, which occupied a decent chunk of land in eastern Turkey. The king of this land, King Antiochus, built himself a large funerary monument to himself in the Taurus Mountains from 69 BC to 34 BC. This is still home to many fairly well-preserved statue heads that seem to be quite unique. It was excavated by a German engineer, Karl Sester, in 1881, and all the heads he found are still in their original condition and not restored, giving tourists a very authentic view. Many of the statues appear to be somewhat of a mixture between Persian and Greek gods. Number 5. Hierapolis. Modern-day tourists who come to Hierapolis might not be there to enjoy the history as much as the pools of Pamukkale. The hot springs situated here are formed from thermovolcanic activity underground that heats up the magical water in salt and calcium carbonate. It might actually look like snow at first glance, but reassure you, it's not. It wasn't just modern-day tourists who were attracted to this location, but also the ancient Greeks and Romans. The spa has been used since the 2nd century BC, with many inhabitants of Hierapolis choosing this location as a retirement location or somewhere to spend their final days. Due to this, it's also home to one of Turkey's most notable necropolises. It's believed that tourists here are likely to slowly erode the historical portion of Hierapolis as more and more hotels begin to pop up in the locations nearby. But the historical ruins here should not be overlooked, and it's a prime example of Greek and Roman influence in Turkey. Number 4. The Hagia Sophia. As the Roman Empire split up, it was divided into two large pieces in 285 AD, as it was too vast to completely govern all provinces from the seat of Rome. This turned out to be a good decision, especially for the Eastern Empire, who were then dubbed the Byzantines. While the western part of the Roman Empire quickly crumbled into new states, the Byzantines prospered from trade and were able to construct the magnificent capital of Constantinople. The Hagia Sophia was constructed in 537 AD by possibly their most impactful leader, Justinian I. This basilica was the seat of Byzantine Orthodox Christianity and displayed many beautiful mosaics. The powerful city of Constantinople fell to the attacking Ottomans, who laid siege to the heavily fortified double-walled city in 1453 and then turned it into their own capital. This attack was led by Mehmed the Conqueror, and from now on, Turkey has been primarily a Muslim country. Not being followers of Christianity, they decided to keep the magnificent building, but remove the Christian icons and turn it into a mosque, which is primarily decorated with calligraphy in modern times. Number 3. Cappadocia. This region is known for its more arid climate and geological formations known as fairy chimneys. It didn't take long for man to realize how these geological formations could serve as useful tools. Built out of soft volcanic rock, this is a prominent landmark in the Cappadocia region in central Turkey and is known as Uçusaç Rock. The city of Uçusaç is known for its luxury hotels and this castle. It might not be the most striking castle in existence, but it's certainly a good example of how humans can transform landscapes. It's also the tallest point in Cappadocia. Christians began to build churches in Cappadocia as early as the 1st century AD. They began seeking refuge in these mountains, but also underground here, which this historical area is mostly known for. If you venture underground here, you'll see the Derinkiyu underground city that actually could have its origins with the ancient Hittites. But this place has everything a normal city normally does, including homes, schools, cellars, storage rooms, churches, and even livestock. This underground city reached its peak during 700 AD all the way to 1180 AD, while it was protecting Christians from marauding Saracens. Number 2. Toku Palace. After the Ottomans had secured Constantinople as their stronghold and established it as their new capital, Istanbul, they began to fortify it and build lavish palaces. The Turkish flag is displayed at the gates and is a proud symbol of their heritage. The Topkapi Palace takes up a massive amount of prime real estate in Istanbul, and the Sultan would have been able to see Asia from the top all the way across the Bosphorus Strait. This was in use for over 400 years until the empire eventually fell. It displays a wide variety of Ottoman architecture and now even houses historical and religious artifacts. It's actually the largest and oldest palace still accessible to this day. It also housed a massive harem which had 400 rooms. Roughly 4,000 people lived here and almost worked like a small city. Today it's a UNESCO World Heritage Site and still quite a popular place among tourists to walk around at. Number 1. The Presidential Complex. To finish this video off, we'd like to mention the current presidential palace in Ankara, the capital, which is 30 times larger than the White House. The Turkish certainly have a good taste when it comes to lavish palaces, as we can tell from history. Although it was built in modern times, it's considered to be the 4th largest palace in the world, and will certainly be considered a fascinating place as time goes by. Covering an area of 1.6 square miles, with approximately 1,100 rooms, the presidential palace serves a role to President Erdogan similar to how our White House serves a role to our president. The supposed cost of this palace is $615 million, but others estimate that it's roughly worth $1.37 billion when it was built in 2014. This also might not include the rumored secret underground bunker where top secret special commands are given. Some even think a supercomputer that tracks past the potential enemies is located here. The palace has received quite a bit of criticism due to its lavish furnishing as a waste of taxpayer money, but others insist that it'll boost Turkey's reputation in the future.